Memes are pumping, dino coins are moving, social media sentiment is going through the roof, Ethereum is dumping again. But it's the best time to buy your altcoins as we see these bigger coins moving vertically. In this video, we're going to be talking about why it's the best time to buy into altcoins. Let's get started. The markets are firing up and meme coins are doing great. And as I said, dino coins are also moving. And in the previous week, we discussed what if your altcoins are not moving. But what if you don't have any altcoins? Is it actually the right time to be buying as Ethereum is currently dumping? In this video, we are talking about a few topics. And the first one is technically the memes. We've just had some new listings on Binance. And I think that we're getting all these memes on the bigger exchanges because the exchanges just want to make money. Peanut the Squirrel has been listed, for instance, and some more are going to be listed soon on Binance too, which they still can do that as we don't have any regulation like MiCA. I think that once MiCA kicks in, we're going to have some changes with the meme coins and a slow rotation back into utility coins, through which we have seen that after Trump has been elected, we've seen that the USA regulatory coins, which you could classify as XRP, XLM, Cardano, Algo, Hedera Hashgraph, all those coins that were framed in the document that the SEC has created as potential securities, have been starting to break out of their momentum or out of their accumulation. So that is a great sign. We've seen XRP just rallying towards $1, breaking out of a correction of more than 3 years. But there are some key principles that you need to understand when you're trading altcoins. The first one is, once they start to break out, just like these coins have been doing, they break out massively. And the reasons for that is that they take out all the liquidity above those highs. People are jumping into those coins because of the fact that it's breaking out and because of everybody on social media talking about these coins. I'll get to that in a little bit. And the hype in general is showing that there is finally a bull market in those altcoins. However, the second thing that's important is that you will miss entries and you will be fine. You will have altcoins, and there are a gazillion meme coins at this point just firing up and going through the roof. I've been missing them, and you will miss them as well, and you'll be fine. It doesn't matter if something else is moving. It matters that your personal portfolio matters the most, in the sense that if you have any positions and your thesis is right, you'll be fine. So on these topics, I've got a few charts with me. And the first thing is the breakout once it takes place. As you can see with Hedera Hashgraph, it is going bananas. So first, it has been taking the liquidity on the lows at the beginning of November, just prior to the elections. Then the elections took place and it did a rally of 280%, just erasing all the losses of the previous years, going vertical, and now it's stagnating. And you're like, should I be into this one? Should I be positioned into this one? Well, my answer is no, because the potential upside that you could be getting by buying this asset is capped. No asset like Hashgraph, unless you're like far deep into the bull cycle, no coin is going to do another 2 to 3, in this case 4x from this level. And you need to question yourself that if you have a coin like this, and I'll get to some examples that are just similar to Hedera. If you have a coin like this and you need to ask yourself, okay, if I would not have any position at all and my expectations are that the altcoins are going to run, the ones that didn't and Hedera, what are the odds of Hedera going to do another triple X, 200%, from this level, and what are the odds of the coin that I have that will do a 3x, and what are the odds of having a correction of 30 to maybe even 50% on both of these? Well, if I think your answer is going to be that Hedera has a higher chance of having a correction, and your current altcoin that is still accumulating has a higher chance of breaking out. So if you have Hedera, then maybe it's a good time to rotate back into coins that haven't been moving, because if you're looking at the other chart, retests do happen, entries are provided, but it takes some time. And for Hedera, it's very likely that it will go down to 9 cents or maybe even lower and provide a retest for you to get that optimal entry. In the previous bull cycle in 2021, it went from like 1 to 2 cents all the way towards 40 cents in 4 months. And in between, we have corrections that have been taking place of more than 50%. And it took 3 weeks to retest the previous level. At the end of 2021, it took like 2.5 to like 4 months to retest the previous level of the breakout. And they do happen. So the question that you should be having is that you will be missing those entries. You shouldn't be chasing into those positions, and you should be having some patience, because you will miss entries in the sense that, for instance, XRP has been making a run just of a accumulation period of 2.5 years, and it made the highest point in 1100 days just in one vertical candle within 1 week. So how to handle that? I mean, with our consultancy, we are getting clients that are also asking, like, we are positioned into coins, and me personally as well, into coins that haven't been moving at all. But I know that from my thesis, those coins are likely going to do a big run, but they are just delayed or later than the coins that have been moving currently. And if you go into social media, you will see these things where they say the most explosive XRP rally is brewing. All people are saying that XRP is going to run to $10, as you can see in the thumbnail here. Could be, but at this point it has seen a 2.5x. It's like the top 10 crypto that we still have. And it is bringing you into FOMO. As for those creators of content, talking about these coins makes the most sense because it's giving you the most attention. But for you as an investor, you need to step away and be a little bit more calm, staying into your positions, and have a strategy, which we're going to be discussing next. TA is the basis for me when it comes to deriving entry points, seeing whether something is under or overvalued. With altcoins, you can also look at different metrics. But for me, as a trader and investor, I generally want to look at charts. And if we are looking at altcoins in general, we want to know where Bitcoin is, we want to know where the yields are and Ethereum is, and we want to know when the rotation game is going to happen. And then I come to a conclusion when it comes to my altcoins, because you need to look at the USD chart and the Bitcoin chart. So when we're looking at the Bitcoin chart, it is a little, we've been shooting this video 1.5 days before it goes live. So maybe we are at 100K, we don't know. But at least what we can see is that Bitcoin continues to push upwards. And once Bitcoin continues to do these pushes upwards, it's usually a period where altcoins are slightly suffering. So what you want to see is that Bitcoin has a flash crash. And I think whether or not you like it, but within 1 to 2 weeks, given the sentiment, we're going to have one of those flash crashes, resulting into a correction where the altcoins have a capitulation of 20 to 40%. And then probably Bitcoin is going to yield itself back towards the lower bound of this range, hopefully, where we see 85,000 to lower. And once it starts to consolidate, that is the period where the altcoins start to fire off. So in this case, we've had a correction on Bitcoin on the 14th of November, where we had a correction back down towards 87K. After that moment, memes started to rocket, and the USA regulatory coins started to do really well. So I think that that is one of the key principles that we should be looking at. And the same is the case for the yields. If the yields start to fall, then Ethereum starts to wake up. Those are two important factors. Bitcoin needs to stabilize, and Ethereum needs to go off after the yields are going to drop. And that's the moment where the rotation game starts to take place. So you have Bitcoin that moves first, then the money flows into Ethereum and the layer ones, and then everything into those ecosystems start to move as well. Just like from Bitcoin to Solana, and from Solana towards the ecosystem where meme coins are generally currently taking the big hype, as it's the meme coin super cycle. But if the yields are going to drop, it becomes more interesting to have ETH. And when it becomes more interesting to have ETH, it becomes more interesting to have ETH DeFi. So that's where the actual principles lie. And that's why we are waiting for the labor markets to kick in. And once the labor markets are going to have another bad data point, that's the key point for the yields to continue to fall. Or when PMI comes in and there is going to be a potential recession, then the likelihood of the Fed to do those rate cuts have increased, because at this point the markets are not predicting or projecting any new rate cuts. Hence why Ethereum, as you can see in the chart, is still having a substantial painful chart to look at, as we can't flip old support levels for support again. And in that sense, I think that knowing how Bitcoin moves, where you have those flash crashes, it is very likely to have one more where we have an ETH capitulation and then we reverse back up where the yields are going to turn. So if we know that data and we want to look at everything that we have in our portfolio, we need to look at the USDT chart and we need to look at the Bitcoin chart. So the first chart that I wanted to bring up is optimism against USDT. And if we look at most of those USDT charts, and if you recall what we were showing when it comes to hashbar was also making this consolidative period, and once it cracks through this consolidative period, just like we see here, that's when it starts to go vertical. So optimism has seen the exact same period here in November of 2023, has been consolidating in that area since May, and then it started to break out of the area of 182, and then we rallied towards $4 within, I would say, 3 weeks. So this consolidative period is taking place for 6 months. So based on the USDT chart, it is showing that we have multiple retests of the resistance. It is technically building up, and once it breaks through that level, things go vertical. So that's when you get the hash bar graph, and that's why you want to be currently positioned into your altcoin, because right now is the easiest entry point to get into, and it's very likely that during the upcoming bull cycle, the previous high is just going to be this big. It's going to be, there's more liquidity, so the highs are going to be bigger. But now, looking at the Bitcoin chart, we can see that we're still printing lower lows. But, and that's the big but, we are showing ourselves into a case where we are creating a bullish divergence on the 1-day and the 3-day chart. So we are making a bullish divergence here already on these, and we are having a bullish divergence, which we have on the RSI, over here as well. So it's technically bottoming out. And knowing that altcoins are on their cycle low against Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is generally starting to peak during its run, and where the rotation with ETH is going to take place, you want optimism to break through this level of 2,000 sats, but knowing that it's going to break out of that accumulation against USD, and then knowing that the Bitcoin value is at a cycle low, it is the best time to get your position going. By far, the best time. And if you go down the list and you're looking at Omni, for instance, you can see that Omni has been seeing a disastrous chart. It needs to break above $10 to have some momentum here. But we can also see that we're in that same accumulation period since August. And once it goes back towards the resistance of $10, it's cracking all these highs here, right? So it's the same principle as what we see with optimism. And when we go to the Bitcoin chart, it is disastrous. Once again, it is absolutely disastrous, in which we are printing new lows. So you can see that the argument of when you should be stepping in, and here we are starting to make a similar bullish divergence on the higher time frames. that if you know that the USD chart is going to reverse and the Bitcoin valuations are at the cycle low, that's the moment where you need to activate yourself. And that's the moment where you need to erase your emotions and make sure that you go full risk on. The altcoin markets are like gambling, are a minefield if you're into meme coins, are bipolar, where your emotions are going through the roof and back in the depression within 24 hours. So there are a few tips that I want to give you when it comes to them. And those tips come from the fact that I've been into these markets for close to 8 years. I can finally say that it's 8 years, which is a long period where in the same period XRP didn't change in any value. It's still the same, which shows that you need to be rotating your positions. But first of all, you need to make your thesis, your plan, and you need to solely base that on rationality. You shouldn't be using leverage. You shouldn't be having an altcoin portfolio of 40 coins. I would suggest having 8 maximum. And I would suggest outside of that to have a degen portfolio where you can just trade meme coins or any smaller coins that you would like to trade. But foremost, you need to stay calm. And I think that your friends, social media, your community, everybody is going to be saying something you shouldn't be doing. Because if you go onto social media regarding XRP, it is the best time that you are getting your positions right now after it has been making a big move. But technically, it has already seen its move. And in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have new coins that are going to be discussed and talked about on social media. So have your positions. As I showed on the charts, Optimism and many of those coins are just about to do the exact same as what most of the coins have been doing. And that's where your return comes in. It is very easy to get your positions right now. Hold them for most of the time because it's full risk on. And in between, you can just accumulate, trade for a little bit more. But overall, stay calm, hold your positions, have your positions, and enjoy the ride. Thank you very much for watching again. Next week, we're going to have episode 2 of New Era Finance. So make sure to be there on Tuesday. And also this Sunday, we're going to be talking about the markets once again. So make sure to subscribe and I'll see you again on the next video. Ciao.